Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of This Is Your Captain Speaking. Super happy to have somebody on today who's a marketing operations specialist. It's something that's very close to our hearts here at Marmind. I've got Odd Morten Sørensen on. Odd Morten, really nice to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Great. I have to get, so we spoke before this a couple of weeks back over email, and I need to get used to calling you Odd Morten. I kept on calling you Odd, and it's like, that's not how you say the name. So Odd Morten's based in Norway and has over 20 years of experience in technical marketing and marketing operations. He's been recognized as a leading MarTech evangelist, not just in Norway, but globally, and also creates a lot of LinkedIn content, which is directly connected with marketing operations, marketing automation, MarTech, digital marketing in general. Some of his experiences is being a marketing technologist and growth hacker, an ambassador at marketingops.com, and then also, as of late, a marketing operations specialist at PlameOps. So, Odd Morten, really happy to have you on. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so just a quick recap of my experience and background. So I started in marketing like 20 years ago. I started up a side gig from my day job. I built my own website, did the SEO, AdWords, Google Analytics, etc. It all started kind of there. And then since then, I've been all over the technical side of marketing. Like I've been an SEO advisor, web editor, ad operations, tech manager, product manager for data management platform. By 2015, I discovered MarTech, and obviously Scott Brinker. Kind of started stalking him on Twitter, answering all his or commenting all his tweets and stuff like that. And when I discovered MarTech, I was like, oh, this is just me, because it's marketing, which I love, and it's tech. And I'm a techie, I've always been. So it's like, oh, it's all coming together. And I understood, okay, I'm going to be a marketing technologist in 5 years. That was my goal in 2015. So, and in 2017 or so, I started being more active on LinkedIn and kind of starting to build my professional network on LinkedIn. And today I'm working at a Norwegian utility company called NTE. I work there as a marketing technologist and growth hacker. I manage our marketing automation platform, all of our tracking, marketing dashboards and reports and stuff like that. As you mentioned, lately I created PlameOps. PlameOps.io stands for Marketing Operations Playground. It's kind of a platform for me to guide others into marketing ops and MarTech. And basically, because if you go outside of the US, marketing ops is kind of still a buzzword, or even a myth, depending on who you talk to. But so my aim with PlameOps is actually to change this perception of marketing ops, basically by helping smaller companies understand and adopt marketing ops beyond the traditional marketing roles.
Okay, and looking at, so you mentioned that in Norway, the market that you're currently based in, and I guess your current full-time job is with NTE.
Yeah.
And that's a Norwegian utility provider, correct?
Yeah.
At the job in NTE, is there marketing operations? Are you bringing in a certain marketing operations know-how, or how is that?
I would say so. It's not defined as a marketing ops role, but when you look at what I do, it is marketing ops. But I think that's kind of the thing about it. In Norway, in Scandinavia, and also many people I've talked to lately, like in Netherlands and Belgium, France, etc. They kind of say the same thing. Oh, you like marketing ops, and there's nobody here that does that. It's like, okay, yeah, I know. It's when you go to the US, they're like, they've done marketing ops for how many years? It's really professional. All the companies have not just marketing teams where they have this guy sitting in the corner or guy or girl sitting in the corner doing Google Analytics and tracking and stuff like that. They have marketing ops teams.
Yeah.
So in Norway, Scandinavia, and many European countries, I think we're way behind, in terms of understanding that all this tech management, all these strategies, how to actually run marketing as a core business function, not just placing ads or sending out emails or, it's, yeah, we have a lot of work to do, and to get where like they are right now in the US, if you ask me. So
Sure. No, I get it. Do you see it changing? Like, is it slowly changing in, for example, in the Nordics? Because that's your region, let's say, the
yeah,
closest to home.
it's slowly changing. It
Okay.
is. I would emphasize slowly
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
a kind of
It's
frustrating tempo.
yeah.
But you see new positions like they pop up here and there, and obviously big companies also in Norway have all the different typical marketing ops positions and teams, and is like copy pasted from the US, for example. The rest of the bunch, they do some of the same stuff, but instead of having their own marketing ops team managing and owning the tech, maybe it's owned by IT, right? And stuff like that, because there's no knowledge on how they should do it better than they have done so far. So it's I think there's a lot of enlightenment needed to be done. So yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I think like you said something just when you were describing your role at NTE. You said, a lot of the things that you're doing is marketing operations. It's just not maybe called that, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of organizations would probably. I feel like a lot of organizations are probably doing a lot similar like NTE, in that they have people like you working there that have the marketing operations focus, but they don't necessarily define it as marketing operations, or they don't have it as a, let's say, it's not a company focus to say that marketing operations is important, right? Or that they're not building a team based on best standards for building marketing operations. Would you
Exactly.
agree?
Yeah, exactly. I think that our company NTE is actually quite forward leaning in terms of the technology we have implemented over the last 2-3 years and how we're working with this. But still, we're not calling it marketing ops. And that's kind of the thing. I also see other companies implementing software and tools and platforms, and starting to really work like insights driven, not just data driven, but insights driven, and really, well, the marketing ops way, if you can call it that, but still kind of just saying, this is what we do on our marketing team. This is just a kind of, it's not just about how to call it, or because when you start adopting marketing operations, then you start handling everything in a different way, and
it's an approach, right? It's
yeah.
a different way of approaching things. I think that's something that's very apparent. Okay, so look, you've mentioned technology like a number of times here. So technology obviously comes up all the time, and obviously marketing operations and ownership, marketing operations would own the technologies, most of the marketing tech at least. Right, you also mentioned somebody else that's quite close to this podcast as well, Scott Brinker. Actually, Scott was the episode number 1, by the way, just as a
Great start.
and we're now episode number 48, I think. So, but Scott's very close to the business, and I also have a great relationship with Scott. He's a great guy. And obviously he does the chief MarTech Landscape, right, which has the X amount. I don't even know how many tech providers are on it now this year. Do you know?
Last time they announced a number, it was 13,000 plus.
Wild.
And yeah, it's been crazy. So now you can find the map on martechmap.com. So now it's gone from like these bigger and bigger and bigger PDFs, so big that you're not able to, it's I think that the last one I downloaded was like 60 megabytes or something, and still it's impossible to handle such a big logo landscape. So it's now it's on this website, martechmap.com, and it's run by Scott Brinker and Franz Riemersma from MarTech Tribe. And actually, I'm really looking forward to May 7th, because they have called it MarTech Day, and they will, amongst other things, drop the new number of MarTech tools. And it's gonna be, I don't know the new number, but it's gonna be much higher than I think most of us expect. And it's
crazy, man. It's like, it's funny because like this is something that I constantly come across with many different tech organizations, MarTech organizations. They're always looking to be unique. That's the thing. We need to be unique. Like, we found a niche, and I'm like, there's no way that you could have found a niche with that many. Like, let's talk about marketing automation providers, right? Just as one specific niche, right? Or there's like probably over 1,000 providers just in that space. Like, if we're talking about email, if you look at something, for example, simple way of looking at it would be go to like a review site like g2.com as an example, right?
Yeah.
And type in marketing automation, or type in email marketing. You'll get like 600 providers of email marketing. First of all, how do you stand out? Second of all, how do you even survive if there's so many providers? Is there such a demand, or what is it?
Actually, I think that so like I said, the MarTech map is global, and I think that the sheer amount of customers needing a MarTech stack worldwide, it kind of opens up for, so that the vendors are actually able to carve out their own space, like with their own set of customers. Because like if you go to the US, you will find people have all these other set of tools being popular, and when they ask you, what do you use? We use this and that. Oh, never heard of it. So it's I think that there's actually just so many potential MarTech tool customers out there, and it will just be more, because as it's not like all the companies and businesses that actually would need MarTech tools have everything in place already. So it's a lot of new customers waiting to buy.
Yeah.
I would almost go the opposite way, like asking, will there be enough MarTech vendors and tools to meet the future demand of MarTech? So it's because I think it's just going to grow. But now, if there's any MarTech vendors that possibly would listen to this, I would say that you need to step up your game, because a lot of, I think one of the highest issues many have with SaaS vendors is that like they have empty promises. Like there's a lot of air in in their tool. It's a lot of, they have all this, oh, it's gonna be so different than everything else, and it's like, so you can send an email, okay, got it. So you have to solve actual problems, and in a good way. So so I kind of have like two predictions for let's say the next 1 to 2 years. Like the smaller vendors will actually win over, with the best of feature, will win over the enterprise suites. Not kind of crush the enterprise suites, but they will go, and I think the enterprise solutions, and they will see that they will lose traction. That's one of my my predictions, and of course, if your tool is not integratable, you will die. Easy as that. You need to be able to send data in and out, and it sounds like,
Obvious. It sounds
yeah, it
obvious,
sounds
but
like
it's
it's
not.
obvious, but it's surprisingly too many tools still that it's kind of lock in. It's not open to connect. So it's surprising.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, I can understand it in a way, the integrations being lagging, right? Because I think with so many different tools in the market, it's hard for companies to focus on which tools they should integrate with and how many of them they need to integrate with. And they typically don't, having worked at a number of MarTech companies, they just don't prioritize it, right? They prioritize winning new business over or developing their own product or the needs within their own product that the customers are asking for, rather than focusing on the integration strategy, which would require normally a commercial focus between two commercial orgs to make sure that you've got the commercial handshake between two organizations, but then also at the same time a product is developers to make sure that whatever integration that they're creating is working and passing data between both. But I fully get that. And on your first point, I couldn't agree more. And I've seen that coming for years. That's been coming for a long time. Like the old thing of like nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. I think that's bullshit now. I think that's I don't agree with it. I think plenty of people should have been fired for buying IBM. But it's like it's the smaller players in the space are typically the ones that are showing more innovation, better customer care, and like they're the ones that are able to really do white glove service for their customer base. And I'm seeing like some of the issues, especially in the marketing automation space, with those larger acquired cloud platforms that the Salesforces, Oracles, Adobes of the world, like they're great tools, don't get me wrong, but like they've had this acquisition strategy whereby they've gone and just acquired a lot of different things and just tried to smash it all together. And that has left a lot of customers with a bad taste in their mouth that would have been from one of those acquired organizations, So no, definitely agree there.
Yeah, and you have a lot of legacy in these bigger tools and platforms, and it's kind of looking like it's 1980 or so. It's yeah. I promised myself that I won't name any names, so I won't. But
you don't need to name anyone. I've already named them all. I've already named them all. But I mean it in the nicest possible way. Like, don't get me wrong, these tools are great and everything, but there are like I think my point being in those categories where there's whales, like absolute monsters of technologies that are enormous. There are always these smaller fish that are managing to gain market share because of how they're operating their business. They're able to deliver the needs of the customer quicker than what those larger platforms are able to do. And as you said, there are some legacy things in there that are making them a bit slower to move and making it a bit more like the 80s. You're correct.
Yeah. And of course, then you have all the rumors about Google about to buy HubSpot. It's like, I don't know what to say about it. Really.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it, HubSpot.
I'm like, okay, so what's gonna happen now? It's crazy.
It's interesting times ahead, like the monsters are getting more monstrous, and the monsters are getting bigger, but I think it's a good point though, like in terms of the MarTech landscape and the way you spoke about it, is that it's not something that we should be fearful of the fact, or we shouldn't be afraid of starting new MarTech because of the fact that there's 13,000 providers in the MarTech space, right? I think you've proven that, because that was always an open question to me, right? And I've worked in MarTech for a long time, and it's always like, Jesus, this is getting out of hand. That was the feeling. This is really getting out of hand because there's so many different providers. But to your point, there's particular providers that specify to the needs of specific regions, as an example, specific countries. They go against a specific rule set within those regions or countries, for example.
Yeah.
There's a growing need for MarTech. And there's still plenty more digitalization that needs to be done across organizations. It's been rapidly increasing since COVID, but it's still going to continue to increase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, when we were choosing tools in NDE, we really saw that this one thing actually, you know, cut the market in two. It's like, do they store data in the EU or not? Yeah. Are we able to store our data and manage and process data in the EU? Okay. If not, you're off the list. So
okay, there you go.
So that's
you
know, that's really also kind of a region specific needs. Yeah. So yeah,
that's interesting as well, because I'm also hearing, for example, from Europe or from US based companies as well that are looking to do business in the EU. They're also asking that question. So I think the future of the European MarTech provider being like on not on top, I think that's unfair to say, but I think up until this point in time, it's been very much, okay, US MarTech providers are the ones that everybody should lean on. The US know exactly everything about MarTech. They're the ones that we should be investing in. And I'm seeing the Europeans take that over now, is the way that I'm not take over, but at least get up onto the same level in terms of the perception, right?
Yeah, I think actually a lot of different other regions than the US on the MarTech side is actually, you know, taking over in some way. It's not just in Europe, but I saw this post, I think yesterday, by Juan Mendoza from MarTech Weekly, talking about the MarTech scene in Vietnam. It's like crazy, and you know, it's just as an example, and you have you know, MarTech vendors popping up all over the place, all over, you know, the so it's really interesting times, like you said earlier. So but when it comes to marketing operations, like I mentioned, I think US is really far ahead of the rest of the rest of the world like that. So it's a interesting perspective though.
Absolutely. Well, hey, look, I'm just looking at the time here and we're after going over. So I think we'll leave it at that today, Odd Morten. It's been really interesting speaking with you. It's been good fun just chewing the fat a little bit about the MarTech space and marketing operations. If people want to find you somewhere, where's the best place to find you? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Cool.
You can search me up on LinkedIn and
follow
me or connect with me, whatever.
Great. We'll make sure to get your details into the description of this when we're sharing as well, so that people can find you.
Yep.
And yeah, Odd Morten, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been really great speaking with you.
Thank you to be here and to speak with you, Andy.
Cheers. Guys, this has been another episode of This Your Captain Speaking. Tune in again next week for more great content. Thanks, Odd Morten.
Thank you.